Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda Ray, and welcome back to the Golden Thread podcast here on the Locals app. I have with me today for our Conversations with Creator series artist Marika Siegel. Marika is from San Clemente, California, and she has been inspired by her travels and just has really been on quite a journey after a few things happening to her in 2012. So I just wanted to really, first of all, thank you, Marika, for coming on. And I just wanted to learn a little bit more about you and how you got started in the world of painting.
Well, I've been drawing since I was 10. I'm 35 years old now. I really got started with painting really in 2012. I have family that lives in Ireland, and my mother is originally from there. And we went there the second time around the April-May 2012 area. And when I got back, I just got such a flood of inspiration to do these series of paintings with just the theme of the universe being within humans and animals. And when I say that, I mean just stars, galaxies, planets, this very colorful, beautiful energy residing within us all.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I was painting a little bit even back in kind of 2008, 2010, but it really kicked off in 2012. That's when it just flooded right in.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. And so what has been your most recent works or inspiration? I know it seems to still contain this very cosmic and, again, universal, almost astrology type energy in it, but also with nature theme. So is there a specific focus on your work now currently with the most recent things you've painted?
Well, I will I'll actually show them in just a moment, but I have been ever since in 2019, when I did my first psychedelic substance for the first time, called iboga /ibogaine, in a retreat in Canada around October of 2019. I started to do some sort of psychedelic themed work as well, but I've also been continuing to do some universe within art as well. And just I'll show you one of the examples, because say a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is one of them that I've been working on for a while. Like a cosmic butterfly, and as well as just the metamorphosis, like coming out and good things.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let your audience let you see it. Yeah, and that's one of my more recent ones, and. Also in the background, that one of the rainbows coming out, I've been working on that one for a very long time. Since I've been working on that one since 2021. Mm-hmm. It's basically the idea of all these different modes of healing and transcendence, whether it's meditation, many forms of psychedelics, dark room meditation, hypnosis, and lucid dreaming, and NDE experiences, all of that, just all encompassed in just one stream of beautiful light, as well as just, I've always been very fascinated by different modes of healing and transcendence, especially over many years of my life, and so forth. And I really wanted to encapsulate that, and that painting, even though I'm still working on it, as one of those paintings that I've been have dived in and just really enjoy just painting so much.
Wonderful. So a healing modality has inspired you. What particular modality do you gravitate to the most?
It seems that there are different points in life where I really gravitated towards. A few years ago, it was psychedelics. Now it's more hypnosis and meditation, because as wonderful as psychedelics can be. There's also such a huge come down in terms like such a high level, and then suddenly you have to go back really into the matrix and just intermingle with society and just really come back down. It can be a very dramatic drop, and I did experience that with Iboga for a few months. But luckily, I found a group as well as just family really helping me and really understanding what I was going through. That really helped stabilize my energy and really stabilized me mentally at the time. So I've been doing hypnosis the last few years since 2020 when I had my first QHHT session with a lovely woman named Tala who resides in Mexico now, and she's a love. And also there was another woman named Violetta. She resides in Laguna Niguel in California, and also the latest one being Tina, who resides in Cottonwood/Sedona. So yeah, so that's been a very effective mode of healing for me in recent times.
Yes, and I can attest that Tina is a wonderful practitioner. She and I went to, we attended the same training around the same time. So yes, it was wonderful getting to not only meet Tina and stay connected with her, but she is just a wonderful, very caring soul, excellent practitioner. Yeah. So yes, you're in good hands.
Definitely.
So with the hypnosis, what seemed to be coming up for you that was inspiring with art, or if that makes sense?
With art, at this point in time, it was just not so much art focused. It was more focused on the direction I need to take with my life, and just answering certain questions about certain traumatic events from my past, especially when I was 11, and just things like that. And just what I find, someone recently said this in an interview that I watched, and I thought it was very true. Hypnosis really, if one really allows themselves to look at it this way, it's a form of guided meditation. Because especially when Tina, when she did the hypnosis on me, like especially at a certain point when she asked me to count backwards, I just felt such a drop in relaxation, and not only mentally but physically. And that's when one, at least that's how I know that it's working. When you feel the physical and mental relaxation just kick in, just like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of art, pretty much my artistic inspiration has been the same. I've always just have allowed myself just to allow my mind to wander and really treat my imagination like a playful child, and just and have the most, and I just let her just, that imaginative part of me just be so creative, and even hilariously so, in a way that I could have never imagined before, until it just floods right in. I'm like, that's really cute. That's really funny. No, I think my key thing is honoring my inner child in many ways. And that's how I managed to keep that doorway of perception and creativity open for my artistic work to blossom the way it is.
Those are some words of wisdom that we could all really pay attention to, honoring the inner child and allowing ourselves more room for play, and allowing ourselves to receive the inspiration and things like that. So that's beautiful. And I feel like that's something that everyone could really resonate with, and really could take home as something to practice, or at least to allow into their lives more, especially that honoring that inner child. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, I think it's also important, especially at the most dreadful moments of my life, as even last year and even the year before, in 2021, when I was diagnosed with cancer. It was a rare form of ovarian cancer at the time, but luckily I'm cancer free. It was funny because, even though it's going to sound strange to many people, but I've kind of viewed it as not only as a major relief, but also as a strange adventure to embark on. Because just with going through chemo and just having my hair just removed, I almost felt like I was almost like a Buddhist monk, even though I'm not officially a Buddhist and things like that. So I'm just like, you know what? It's a very important part in my life. And I was able to go through it with as much grace and also with as much love, not only for myself, but from my friends and family, especially from family at the time. So bless them, and I'm very grateful to still be here. But yeah, just even the inner child, even at the time, even though it was dreadful, like it kind of kicked in and be like, oh, this is such a weird thing. Like I'm just gonna just embark on this and just get through it with a smile on my face, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing too, like you mentioned, is going through it with grace and trying to give yourself grace.
Exactly.
Right.
Give you
Yeah.
as much unconditional love as possible, and not to be so hard on yourself, and to really keep your mental and spiritual essence high, because if that's down while your body is down, oh God, it's a very hard climb to get out of once those faculties are not in a higher state of mode and
Yeah.
being when you're in that place of in your life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where do you feel like that drive came from to, approach everything with a sense of adventure and such a positive attitude? Where do you think that you cultivated that, or where do you think it came from?
I would say it just comes from just who I am as a person. It just, it comes from just that inner child way of looking at things with an open mind and an open imagination. It just really just came from, I guess, just from a higher place of my being, just to be like, you know what, even though it was shocking as it was at the time, it was overwhelming relief, because before then I was coughing a lot, my belly was protruding like a pregnant person, and I was just, and I was didn't know what was going on. I thought I had bronchitis at the time or something like that. I didn't believe it was COVID at all. But I did know that something was happening to me, and even my mother noticed it at the time. And so she told me, like, because she's connected to let's just say her spirit guides, and really the ascended masters, particularly Saint Germain is one of those masters that she really has a deep connection with. And he told her to tell me I need to go to the clinic in Laguna Beach, like get on it and then stop delaying, because I can be very stubborn as well. On top of everything, I guess that comes from like the inner part of my child, like inner child and personality as well. And yeah, and I was sent to this was in September in 2021. Sent to the clinic, did some tests, sent me to Laguna Beach Hospital and then Mission Viejo Hospital. And then they told me what was going on through the scans and X-rays. And I had surgery right away, and I was in the hospital for 10 days. And I knew this was somehow this. I'm not going to say exactly meant to be, but regardless, I knew that this was happening, and I knew to come at it from a most in a strange way. I know I keep saying this, but from a very adventurous, childlike essence as possible. Because if we're coming at it from a place of if I were to come at it from a place of such massive sense of victimhood, like, oh, like, and don't get me wrong, I had those moments as well, but I just was just I just knew that I had to approach it in the most lighthearted and the most deeply profound way as possible, and in order to get through it, and in order to survive and then eventually thrive out of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
The adventure part that you talk about reminds me of something that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, and he tells you to practice it daily, where you get out of bed and approach each day as if you are still a child and there's wondrous adventures to be had, and getting up and thinking to yourself, what wondrous adventures await me today? And so that really resonates with what you're saying, and that really ties in with, his approach of your attitude really does create your reality. And so
Yeah, exactly.
it's even more reaffirming, especially when you shared that you are cancer free today. So that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. And I have to be honest. I have to really thank Joe Dispenza and his talks, because if it wasn't for me, well, if it wasn't for him putting them out to the public and me listening to them for many months at the start of this year, I don't think I would have gone to Sedona. I think it really helped me, like, because he talks about a lot about manifestation and beautiful things such as that, and I was just keeping myself open, like, just to go to travel, and I eventually did. Even though I wanted to go to Australia to one of his retreats, I was like, okay, it's not meant to be at this time, but I still would love to travel, and that's how I ended up in Sedona and meeting Tina, and now meeting you. So yeah. So thank you, Joe.
Yes, all of these wonderful adventures that have led you here today.
Yeah, the big channel helped with dispensing his teachings as well. So props to them for that as well.
Yes. And I feel like he really is very much in alignment with another, what I would consider spiritual, I don't want to say pioneer, but Louise Hay. And she was always talking about, you can heal your body, and paying attention to what your body is telling you. And where you hold disease or dis-ease is, the parts of you that need addressing. So I feel like she and Dr. Joe Dispenza really have brought a lot of things to the mainstream that, are tried and true.
And who is she again?
Louise Hay. She was a spiritual teacher. Yes, she wrote a book called "You Can Heal Your Body." There was another one, "You Can Heal Your Life," and she has a lot of mantras and a lot of things that are very specific for different types of ailments, disease, or illnesses. And it's just really, really beautiful how she kind of weaves her own story of illness with how she teaches other people to do the same, to heal themselves. So
it's almost as if, like, when one suffers at one point, or when someone such as myself or her or anyone else has to go through something very humbling and life-changing as that, if one really approaches it the way she did and the way I'm trying to do, it can be a massive blessing in disguise if you allow it to be.
Agreed. I would agree with that 100%. Yes.
Thank you.
So I was going to ask, where can people find your work if they want to purchase, or if they want to check out your work in person? Where can they find it?
Oh, they can, if they're in the Laguna Beach area in Southern California, they can find some of my original pieces in a place called the Chakra Shack, and it's on Pacific Coast Highway, like in Laguna Beach. And I've had my there for a few years, and they've been very lovely to me. I'm very appreciative of them, because I tried to get my work in other places in Laguna, and despite what I've been told, it's hard to get your art in any of the mainstream galleries, because a lot of them, I want something that they believe is going to sell, and if they don't believe it's going to sell, they just simply won't take it. And so,
yeah, I know it can be hard getting your work out there. So hopefully this will assist people in finding your work. And did I remember seeing that you have an Etsy shop as well?
Yes, I do. And if people, it's under Satik Art, which is spelled SATIKART. But if I would say that the quickest way to get it is to go through my Instagram. And, and I have a link tree right on there.
Okay.
And I would like to show even on my end how to do it, but I don't want to get rid of the screen. Because I'm not too familiar with how this Google app works, so I'm not going to mess with that. But if people if they go to Instagram and on my link tree, like, all my links are there. My Etsy, and also there was a children's book that I wrote a few years ago and things like that, as well as illustrated.
Tell us about the children's book.
Oh, it was a book. It's called The Who Am I, and it was just, I remember it's based off of when I was a kid. I remember feeling very existential when I was 3 to 4 years old. Just really when I guess when I came more into my body and I was looking around and just wondering, why am I here? Like, is this real? Like, I felt like I was a fish out of water. I'm like, what am I doing here? It's just that kind of sensation that I remember as far back as at that time. So I don't have any pre-birth memories or anything like that. I almost wish I did, or else I wouldn't have felt so confused and so out of place. But I guess really the book was created as a way of as a form of coping and healing for myself, but for other people that have experienced this, where the main character, Melissa, she's essentially myself in the story, but under a different name. She has the same moment in her life, and she's around the same age. But in this case, she has a dream where she encounters a couple of spirit guides, like a goddess-like being and a god-like being. And they show her many truths of interconnectedness and oneness, and that she does eventually have purpose, and that's just not all random. That she is here, and that she's basically a child of the universe, a child of God, and that there's nothing to worry about, essentially. So that's essentially what the book is about. So especially if there's children that are going through similar feelings where they don't feel so alone. But this could be even a book for adults and their own inner child that didn't get that when they were growing up. So it can be for anybody. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And what's the name of the book again?
The Who Am I?
The Who Am I?
Yeah. The Who Am I? Yeah, it's a little bit. It's even though it's not totally correct English, but I thought putting the before Who Am I, because Who Am I is a very very general but very acceptable, not necessarily acceptable, but just a very wide used term. So I thought of using the word the before Who Am I made it a little bit more memorable and unique.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
And what I'll do is there we go.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I will go ahead and make sure I put all of your Instagram information on there, so that way they can go straight to the link tree.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And yeah, I just was curious if you had any, I guess, final thoughts that you wanted to share with us today about, maybe if people are thinking about getting into art or are thinking about exploring their creativity, maybe some advice for them.
Yes. I would say that get yourself into a place where you know that sometimes it's hard when one is under a lot of stress. I would say if they're having so much stress in their lives, maybe get themselves into a place where they're as stress-free as they possibly can, even if it's just for a few minutes or for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, however long it is. Definitely get themselves into a place of just being stress-free and letting their inner child come about as much as possible, because a lot of people don't even believe, I even have an inner child, but they do. It's even underneath all the conditioning of adulthood and things like that. And don't get me wrong, being an adult is very important too, but also having that time and space for your inner child, like to really come about, is also very important. So I would say get out, maybe more into nature more. Get into a place that's nice and quiet, and also get away from any toxicity as much as possible, whether it's from the mainstream news or if it's just even from just the TV or even anything online. Just, when one becomes self-aware enough, they'll know what will trigger them and what will set them off in a way that's not positive. So I would say remove yourselves from that. And also just allow yourself, especially when you're just beginning to paint or just beginning to draw, just allow yourself to however it's meant to turn out, even if you think it's the biggest piece of, I'm going to just say it, if you think it's the biggest piece of crap in the world and you think it's not, if it's not like worth anything, it's like, but you're at least trying, you're at least doing it, and allow yourself to do it, and just try to have the least amount of judgment about your skills and yourself, and just allow yourself just to enjoy it. even if it's a struggle, just there'll be moments where you'll just push on through and just allow yourself just to enjoy it and just be one with it as much as you can. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful advice,
Thank you.
especially for those that are, maybe a little bit too conditioned to be critical of themselves, just allowing the inner critic to really silence and to just allow what comes forth to come forth. So that's wonderful advice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just have that little critic just kind of just meditate on the side and just be like,
meditate on the side.
Don't have to do anything today. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Marika. It has been a pleasure speaking with you and learning about you and your journey with art and just the wonderful advice that you've given to us. And so again, just thank you so much for sharing your art with us and just sharing your gifts with the world. So
thank you so much, Miranda, and I really appreciate it just so deeply. Thank you so much again. You have a lovely.
Of course. You too.
Okay, bye.